we move on to preview the men's Olympic semifinal matchups. Two semifinal matchups, two fascinating semifinal matchups, actually. And the fact that, you know, we're getting Europe versus Africa in both semifinals, which is a little bit disappointing for South America. And the fact that even the last World Cup, well, the last World Cup was won for South America, but these Olympic Games, no South American teams were able to reach the semifinals. South America happens to be, happens to take this sort of Olympic Games very, very seriously. So it is disappointing for the Colombo Federation not to have a single team in the semifinal. Great for Africa. You get to have Morocco and Egypt, two North African sides at these Olympic Games reaching the semifinals. Great for Africa. I have to say, Morocco and Egypt both should be very, very proud of them, proud of what they've been able to accomplish at these European Championships, at these Olympic Games. They've been both phenomenal, and they've especially Morocco played some free-flowing attacking football. Egypt, they've gotten fortunate in some games, but they've also played some good football in stretches, and they've shown some of their players have real tidy and have some real ability. So for me, there's no real I'm a little surprised that Egypt was able to get here, but Egypt is a team with some real quality. I mean, they played really here, and Egypt also has a good history in terms of playing at the Olympic Games. In 2016 or 2012, they reached the quarters. In 2021, they reached the quarters. I believe they also, and then this time around, they have also reached the quarters. This is the first time though, in a while that they've been able to get past these quarterfinals and reach the semifinal stage. But now Morocco and Egypt, they find themselves in a position that, both of them are one win in these two games. Both Morocco and Egypt, they're one win in these two games away from medaling at the Olympic Games. That's a great accomplishment for these teams. One of these two teams being a game away from medaling at these Olympic Games. We're going to have an African team medal at the Olympics. That's very impressive. I believe in 2016, Nigeria was able to medal. And then before that, I think it's been a really long time before that. So it's a great accomplishment for these teams. One of these two teams will medal. One of these two teams. Now, there's a good chance that both of these teams might even medal, depending on what happens in these semifinals. But yeah, it's great. But now going back to these individual matchups, are France taking on Egypt. That will be an interesting game. I think France are obviously the favorites, the big favorites, have the much better team in this game, and all the pressure is going to be on them. All the pressure is going to be on them because they're big favorites. They're the home team at these Olympic Games. Huge pressure on the manager, huge pressure on the players, and I think Egypt will thrive under that sort of not having any sort of expectations, and all the expectations being towards the French players. But Egypt, they're gonna have to be compact. They're gonna have to close the space down. They're gonna have to be very clever in terms of pick and choose your opportunities to try to threaten France in the counter. You don't want to leave yourself open with the likes of Lacazette and Jean-Philippe Mateta coming the other way. You don't want to leave yourself too open because, again, these are some really good players. Really good players that Morocco, that Egypt, that France has. Lacazette, Jean-Philippe Mateta, Michael Olise, even they have some brilliant players on the bench that haven't had any impact so far on this tournament. A guy like Ryan Cherki. These are some brilliant players that are involved, and I think they can be deadly. I really do. I think they can be very, very deadly. France in transition. They have the ability to do that. Um, you saw what they were able to do today when they took on Egypt. I mean, when they took on Argentina, they played end-to-end attacking football. They were, even when they were up nil later on, they weren't settling for the 1-0 win. They kept going at it. They kept willing to attack, and they played with a sense of courage and bravery. But Egypt, they also have that never die attitude in terms of, you know, starting off the Olympic Games with a disappointing draw to Dominican, quickly recovering that to win your 2 games, and then in this game against Paraguay, going down a goal late into the game, and to have the resilience to fight back despite him going down very late in the game, and to get that equalizer in the final moments, and to hang on, and to get the penalty shootouts, and to be able to take advantage of the opportunity and win the penalty shootout. It's a massive, massive achievement for the it's a massive, massive achievement for the Egyptians to be here. This game will be played on Monday, obviously. Thierry Henry, he desperately wants to, get this Olympic gold on home soil. It's a way to, take his managerial career off to the next level. They're able to. Thierry Henry is able, and it's a brilliant game, and momentum. Both teams have momentum, which is the good part about this. Both teams are coming off quarterfinal wins. Both teams are coming off good, strong group stages. They both were group winners. But again, if you look at individually the players, the quality amongst both teams, I have to say France is just better. France just has much better players, and now Rogerio Mikel, coach of the Egyptian Olympic soccer team, he's also the coach of the Brazilian. He was also the coach of the Brazilian team that won, the famous Brazilian team that won the Olympic Games in Rio in 2016. So obviously there's that experience factor there, and he will be able to manage the highs and lows of being able to reach the quarterfinals. And even in that Olympic Games in 2016, Rogerio Mikel's team started off the season with the Olympic Games a draw against South Africa and Iraq. They started off slow, similarly to how slow this Egyptian team started against the Dominican Republic, but they were able to pick it up in their second game. Egypt did, and now they're in the semifinals. And again, Egypt are a game, 1 win away in 2 games. They only need 1 win in 2 games to win a medal at these Olympic Games. That's brilliant. Now France medaling at these Olympic Games is not gonna mean nothing. They're the home team. The expectations on them. They're expected to win. So obviously, there's 2 different level of expectations there. But I obviously think France is gonna win. Spain taking on Morocco. For me, much more even sort of game here. Both evenly teams, quality all around. Pau Cubarsí, Eric Garcia, Fermin Lopez, Achraf Hakimi, Sofiane Rahimi, real quality. Amir Richardson, real quality and talent and technical players on both sides. And I love watching these Morocco-Spain games, these sort of border games, because Morocco and Spain, there's a lot of history between the two. They're literally borders of each other. I don't know if they're exactly touching, but they're basically touching. They're separated by almost a length of a river, not even, or the width of a river. But yeah, these are 2 teams that are actually going to be hosting the World Cup after the U.S., so that's also an interesting element there. But yeah, Morocco, they're gonna be well. They're both teams are gonna be well aware of each other. I know a lot of Moroccan players play in La Liga, like Akraf Hakimi. Um, so it's gonna be a tight game. It's also a rematch of the last year's World Cup semifinal in 2022, where Morocco was able to get past in penalties. And how did they do that? They were able to close block and really made Spain struggle to play in between the lines and to get that breakthrough goal. I think this Morocco team is gonna be more open. They're gonna go at Spain. They're not gonna be. They're gonna be willing to go at Spain, and they're gonna go at them with quality, with ability, with pace. So yeah, I really think this is a even game, but I do think Morocco has just slightly a bit more quality, and I think that will be enough to get them past Spain. And I think it'll set up a France versus Morocco rematch, because we're if that happens, we've gotten a lot of rematches from that previous World Cup. The World Cup final happened. The World Cup final happened. Morocco Spain is happening on Monday, and then potentially we might get a Morocco France final, which was the previous World Cup semifinal. That's brilliant. You know, we love seeing these sort of rematches, because the more matchups this happens, the more it turns into a rivalry. And I think international rivalries are not as fierce as what they once were, and I love for them to get back to that sort of level of being as fierce as they are, because it makes it more competitive and makes it more appealing to watch.